Hey, I'm Kevin Hoteling and I'm building the ultimate treehouse. We're just about done with the first level, so seems like a good time to check in on the progress and look at how we built it. This is the main deck, about 6.5 feet high, with a little staircase through the notch in the tree, an extension on the other side, and then the zip line headed out. Let's see what the zip does. Watch out below! And then let's not forget the climbing wall. But before we talk about how any of this was built, let's talk about some of these tools. Alright, so starting at the left, we've got our cutter machines, circular saw, jigsaw, tree saw, help prepare the trees. I also used a miter saw, which will help with some of the angle cuts, but your circular saw can do that just fine. And then the jigsaw is going to be most important for cutting around the angles and notches and various different weird things you come across in a tree, so don't skimp on that one. Good to have two different screwdrivers, even if you're working alone. One that's got your drill bit in it, one that's got your screwdriver bit in it, because you don't want to be switching those out every time you've got to switch from pilot holes to anchor screws. For pounding devices, got a sledgehammer to get the big things in place, regular hammer for nails and also minor adjustments. One thing you might not normally think of is the importance of some quick grips. Getting these up and down, clamped in place, will save you a ton of time, particularly if you're working alone. I'm actually using 4 of those. We've got a crescent wrench, general bolt twisting and turning. Also good to have a socket set. That'll save you a ton of time, but not necessary. If your boards are coming with a bunch of staples in it, you're gonna need some pliers. Always good to have a utility knife. And then for the screwdrivers, we've got a variety of bits, including these blasters, which you're gonna need to anchor into the tree if you're using anything over a few inches on your lag bolt. Last of the power tools is a Dremel. You're gonna need that to cut your zip line cord. Trying to go through steel cable, even 1/4 inch steel cable, is all but impossible unless you're using a power tool. The all-important skull pencil. And then got a square. I've got a larger square that I use as well, but that one's important for marking the boards. A level. I've got a larger level as well, but you could get away with just the small one. And our tape. That wraps it up for the tools. Make sure you've got the proper safety equipment. Save your eyes and your ears. Some people might even use a respirator, but I like to live on the edge. And now we've got hardware and screws. For the important stuff, the heavy stuff, we're using galvanized lag screws. Those things are super strong and are going to be critical to the strength of your treehouse. And then we've got different strong ties, hangers, shim. Don't forget your water. It gets super hot out there. If you can't fit it all into a single wheelbarrow, you're probably doing something wrong. Bring it all out at once, bring it all back at once. Keep your workspace clean. If you're working up top on the deck, set up everything you're going to need, because you don't want to be going back and forth to either the garage or even back down the tree. So some of the wood that we used, we're looking at pressure treated 2x4, pressure treated 4x4, pressure treated 1x6, pressure treated 2x6. 1x6 for the floorboards, 2x6 for the joists, 4x4s where for the posts, and the 2x4s wherever necessary. Haha. Look at this little fort. We got a balance beam. We got a turret for Nerf wars. We got a starting block for the monkey bars. And a place to stay dry when it starts to rain, at least momentarily.
Ready? Is it ready? Yes.
It's ready. Steady. Whoa! Third monkey bar. Can you make it all the way to the end? Ta-da! And while we're down here, let's look at the construction of this foundation. Your foundation is the thing that probably needs the most pre-planning. If you don't get this right, you're gonna be in trouble. The rest of the treehouse, you kinda gotta go with the flow, because you're gonna find all sorts of weird nooks and crannies that come up, change your plans. So, at the core of the tree is a 10-foot 2x8 attached with 3 10-inch lag bolts. Tried to go for 2, but it still was a little unstable. Adding the third tied it in nicely. When you're drilling these out, you can use a small drill. I used a big old industrial hammer drill. Up in this corner is an angle bracket, a 6-inch lag screw, then a 4-inch lag bolt going through the beam. That's just a 2x6 joist coming across to this header here, which is built on 2 posts with a cross beam. We've got concrete bases and some patio base just to keep them flat. So none of that concrete was actually poured. Seems to be pretty stable for now. We'll watch how it goes over time. And then these headers are a 2x8 and a 2x10 paired up. The only reason we went with the 2x10 is because that's what we had around. Could have gone with 2 2x8s. Then the 2x4 on top of that completes the 6-inch gap. So that puts a nice end cap on the joists. Should have some strong ties in there for the monkey bars, which have a 21-inch width, as opposed to these guys, which are at 14.5. For all you construction haters out there, we're gonna keep an eye on this and probably add some more supports, so don't tell me that 21.5 is too wide. We'll make it work. That's what a treehouse is all about. So over on this side, we've got a few more connections to the tree. The way that these climbing walls are connected is we've got 2 10-inch lag bolts, lag screws, that go in with some braces. Oh, there's the next one. So we've got 2 on each cross beam. This side for the climbing wall, that means we've got a total of 2, 2, 2, and 2. Those were a pain to put in and probably a little bit of overkill. But given that they're helping to support this little outside wing here, it's nice to have the extra support. And then back down here, one of these 2x6 rafters, two of them come out a full 10 feet. One of them's notched right into that tree. So that's the foundation. Let's talk staircase. This is kind of a meandering way up the tree that the kids were able to do even without the platforms. But once we get up to the top, you'll see why it makes sense to have these flatter, broader standing surfaces. As you can see, there's a few flat landing areas there. Decided that it was safer than having just a V notch if anyone were to lose their balance. Those paddles are good places to either land on a butt or catch a hand. And then having this kind of jagged edge and random pedal-like structure makes it feel a little more Ewok Village. If you're gonna have a treehouse, there's no sense in making it look like a real house. These modern treehouse shows are ridiculous. Bah. The notch between the trees, good standing area, can fit a kid or two in there. And then they actually transition through this gap in the climbing wall. So, makes the climbing wall a little more useful. And the more ways in and out, the more fun you're gonna have. Off that wing, one day, there shall be a 2-story fireman's pole. Alas, today is not the day. So here's the decking on that wing. Comes off the outside of the tree. And they've been cut to odd shapes and sizes in kind of a fan pattern. Again, playing off of that more whimsical treehouse style. But man, what a pain in the butt that was. For our main deck, the boards were considerably easier. Just this opening has the rounded cuts. Everything else is square. When you're building, make sure that you're squaring everything up on something like this, and everything will go in super quickly. You won't have to worry about misalignment, odd-shaped cuts. On the zipline platform, we've got the boards going in a different way, help enforce the one child at a time rule, tell them this is a different place, a more dangerous spot, be more careful. And this starting block is just kind of a prototype to see what kind of height and angles we might want to make it easiest for a kid to reach out for that guy. Alright, so here's a test run from the launch platform. Got some good speed, hits the brake, the tree brake, and you get to go backwards too. Looks high when you hang it, but then with the weight you've got another 2 or 3 feet of drop. Not sure how to finish this guy off, so might make a separate video there. And the handrails of critical importance for the grandparents are a cap, 2x6 and 2x4, with 2x4 top and bottom rails strung between. And then you can see that there's some rope awaiting some dedicated soul to weave a tapestry of safety between the two. Once that's up, we'll be in full Ewok mode. So the rest of this railing is going to be made of some of this manila rope, which I think is 3/4 inch, and it wraps pretty nicely around the rail and will just be laced up and down diagonally around the entire thing. Problem is, lacing it's going to be a pain because you got to put about, well, we've got 150 feet of rope. So you're passing 150 feet of rope through each of the laces. We'll figure it out. Alright, and here is the zip line. So we've got a trolley, a quick link, carabiner style, handle, and rope on about 80 feet of 1/4 inch cable that terminates with a swaged end on this side, and then a thimble and clamps on the other. You can see that we've got a 5/8 inch monster bolt here. That's not going anywhere. And then I don't know what that's called. That thing. That thing. That's rated to 3,000 pounds. Cable's at 1,400, so anything in the hardware that's better than that. Go all galvanized, high capacity, you're good to go. Put that eye bolt in at a little bit of an angle so that it's not getting pure shear force. And then on the other end, we'll see how we got this thing taut. On this end, we've got another eye bolt. We've got a galvanized turnbuckle. And then we've got a thimble and clamp termination with just a bit of friction tape to close off that last end. Make it so it's not dangling out there. So we could have gone a little less taut and closed that turnbuckle up more, but we're expecting it to stretch with some use, so I'm going to close that up over the course of time. The way we got the cable around the turnbuckle was to use a come-along to pull that tighter about where the third clamp is. We attached the come-along, so we were able to pull the wire tight and still have some slack on that eye. That's how we got our turnbuckle in. That'll tighten up over time. And I'd estimate that from this eye bolt down to the other eye bolt, you're looking at about a 4-foot elevation difference. So you've got 80 feet of rope, wire cable, 4 feet of elevation drop, 3 feet of sag. We start at about 9 feet on the one side and go up to about 13 on the other. And our almighty tree brake. We could use the zip line and just jump off before the end, but having a brake gives you a good ride all the way to the tree and then a slap back in the other direction. So this is just some surgical tubing attached to a wooden block with a hole in it that was drilled out and then chiseled from the top. So the hole was drilled near to the edge, chiseled out, and then clamped shut using another piece of wood. So the trolley hits that block, it extends just about all the way to the tree, and then snaps you back in the other direction. Some people don't have tiny little trees to attach to and have much longer ropes, but the tree seems like more fun. We have the lower starting point off the slack line. Ready, steady, go! Ooh, watch out, chickens! Ta-da! So one quick note about treehouse building is You're going to be hacking things together with little braces and blocks and improvising all over the place. So don't be afraid to get in there and just do it. Study what the recommended methods are, but it's really all about just slapping it together in a way that works for your particular tree, keeps it safe, solid, and fun. Alright, that's the beginning of Ultimate Treehouse. Still some sanding, finished work to do. Shore up a few of those joints. But we're well on our way to level 2. Dun dun dun!